Today, we're digging into a really important shift happening in enterprise tech. We're talking about moving our most critical systems away from the unpredictable cloud and bringing them back home, back to the safety of on-premise control.
So, let me start with a question that honestly should be keeping every tech and facilities manager up at night. What actually happens to all your automated systems, your security, your entire smart building, the moment that internet connection gets cut? For most companies, the reality is pretty brutal. When that link to the cloud is gone, all that expensive, intelligent hardware you invested in, it basically becomes a really fancy paperweight. Operations grind to a halt, data stops flowing, and you're left in, well, digital darkness.
Look, this isn't just some minor inconvenience. It's a massive, systemic vulnerability that we've kind of woven into the very fabric of how modern businesses run. So how did we get here? How did we let ourselves get so exposed? Let's take a quick look at the cloud dependency crisis. It's been a fast and, for a lot of people, a pretty painful evolution. We're seeing this classic pendulum swing. Before 2022, everything was about total cloud reliance. A provider could go out of business and poof, your smart devices are just bricks. But by 2024, people started demanding change with the local first movement. And now, the enterprise world is making a huge pivot to what's called air-gapped AI, basically creating digital fortresses that can't be touched by outside failures. This over-reliance on the cloud really boils down to four major headaches for any business. First up, bricking. We just talked about that. Second is latency. That tiny delay for data to travel to a server and back can be an absolute disaster for things like real-time robotics. Third, you've got compliance nightmares. Sending sensitive data off-site is a huge risk. And finally, there's the money trap of vendor lock-in, with subscription fees that can just skyrocket without any warning.
And that brings us to the solution, which is really a complete shift in thinking. We need to stop seeing offline as a problem. We need to start seeing it for what it is, a powerful, intentional design feature that guarantees security and resilience.
And this is exactly where something like the IntelliCore offline hub steps in. Just think of it as a dedicated brain for your building that does everything right there on site. It handles all your sensors, your AV equipment, and it even runs complex AI models locally. It completely cuts the cord to the internet, and in doing so, it just erases all those risks we were just talking about.
A leading cybersecurity analyst really hit the nail on the head. They said, true data privacy requires physical hardware boundaries, not just cloud encryption. And that gets right to the heart of it. The only way to be 100% sure your data is secure is to keep it inside your own four walls, period.
So the big question is, how does this actually work? How can you get all that sophisticated AI processing without being hooked up to massive cloud server farms? Well, let's pop the hood and take a look.
The beauty of this whole system is just how simple and secure it is. First, the hub grabs data directly from your local network. No internet involved. Step 2, it processes that data right there on the device using super efficient AI models. 3, it sends out commands almost instantly with virtually zero delay. And finally, a zero-trust security barrier acts like an impenetrable digital gatekeeper, making absolutely sure no data ever leaves the building.
I mean, when you put it side by side, the difference is just night and day. With cloud AI, you get high latency, vulnerable data, unpredictable costs, and you're totally at the mercy of your internet connection. But with edge AI, we're talking near zero latency, ironclad data security, a predictable one-time cost, and complete independence. The choice becomes pretty obvious, doesn't it?
Okay, let's get concrete and put some real numbers behind these benefits. We're talking about massive gains in three key areas: your security, your speed, and your savings.
First up, 100%. That is your data residency guarantee. Your most sensitive operational data, we're talking patient info, trade secrets, you name it, it never leaves your building. That's not just better security, it's the ultimate in security and compliance. Next, let's talk about speed. We're looking at near 0 milliseconds of latency. Because everything happens locally, you get those sub-millisecond response times that are absolutely non-negotiable for things like precision robotics or perfectly synced AV. That's a level of performance that the cloud just can't physically deliver.
And finally, let's talk about the bottom line. We're talking about saving thousands of dollars every year just by cutting out those crazy, unpredictable cloud API fees. This isn't just a tech upgrade. It's a smart financial decision. You're shifting away from a risky, ongoing expense to a stable, one-time investment.
Let's make this really real. Think about a high-stakes environment like a hospital. Imagine patient monitoring systems that are totally local, which guarantees HIPAA compliance, because that sensitive data is physically secure.
robotic pharmacies dispensing critical medicine with zero downtime. And the risk of a hacker breaching a cloud server and stealing patient records? It's gone, completely eliminated. This isn't just about being more efficient. In this case, it literally saves lives.
So, okay, the argument for taking back local control is pretty strong. But what does it actually take to make that switch? I mean, are we talking about a massive, painful overhaul of everything?
Well, you might be surprised by how straightforward this can be. Worried about your old hardware? No problem. The hub is built to integrate with existing systems using standard protocols. What about software updates? It uses secure temporary connections for patching, so the system's integrity is never at risk. The whole migration is really just a simple 3-step process to get you to full air gaps control.
And that brings us to the final question I really want to leave you with. Take a good, hard look at your own operations. Is your network actually built to be resilient? Or have you, without realizing it, built your entire business on a foundation of risk, totally dependent on an internet connection you have zero control over? The future is local, and it's time to take back control.